Alright, welcome once again to Westside Comics and Games YouTube channel. Today we're going to start a new feature. It's going to be introducing the Universal Combat System.
Thanks very much, and some of you may know, I am Julius. This, of course, is Jason. How's it? Well, first thing you're going to probably ask is, what is the Universal Combat System? Well, the Universal Combat System is a way of resolving combat. It's a special new rule system that's going to be, in the very near future, available on a website called wargamevault.com, free plug. Basically, it's a rule system that allows for you to play fights, battles, combats, any kind of thing involving two or more different sides. And it's not. Let me be very clear. It's not an RPG system. It's not a thing for playing out RPGs. Nor is it an actual card game like, you know, Magic or Versus or anything like that. It's a way where you can take groups of units, be it an individual fighter, a warrior, a group, a battalion of men, a division of men, an army, or maybe superheroes, and fight them out. And you can cross over, and the system will be somewhat compatible with each other, so that you can kind of experiment out with different battles that you've always wanted to see. Can Superman beat Batman? Can Superman beat Thor? Can Hulk beat the crap out of Green Lantern? Two green guys. So what we're going to do today in our first installment is we're going to present to you the basic rules for the game. And eventually what you'll see is on our website, on our channel, you'll see presentations of batches of characters. So we're going to do several characters at a time. And this very first one that we're going to do is all superheroes. So we're going to do a bunch of different superhero ones. And that way, and we'll try to, you know, mix it up a little bit so it's not all, you know, Marvel, it's not all DC. You'll have a little bit, you know, one week we'll have DC, another week we'll have Marvel, and you'll get to see different types of characters. And if you watch all of them, then you'll pretty much get every single character that you can humanly think of off of Marvel and DC at least. Now, a special word I want to give about these videos and about the game system as a whole. Like I said, the rules for this game are going to be available. The actual written rules in PDF format will be available on wargamevault.com. They're going to be there in the near future. They're not there yet, but you know, sometime in the next few months you'll see it there if you want to actually buy a copy of this game. The characters that we're going to present for the superhero version are, of course, owned by Marvel and or DC. Well, that's their intellectual property, right? And I totally respect that. That's one of the reasons why we're doing it here in a free format, so that you can just, as fans ourselves, we can present that to you and you can enjoy the play of them. We totally respect their intellectual property, and as such, we will not make any copies available to anybody. You're free to, you know, jot stuff down, pause and rewind, or whatever you want to be able to access their information and their data. But I'm sorry, but if you ask us, we will not be able to provide you any written copies of these files. Jason and I had a chance to try out the game a little while ago, where we did a very simple battle between Hulk and the Abomination, and unfortunately I was playing Hulk and I got my ass kicked. But that's okay. Things like that do happen. He wasn't pissed enough. All right. So let me go over the format for the cards themselves first. So when you take a look at the cards, you're going to see at the very top of the card the name of the character, his real or secret ID name, if he has one, and in the upper right hand corner you'll see the character's initiative, and that stat is very important, so you make a note of that. In the next section on the left side will be a listing of the character's abilities, disadvantages, armor or defenses, number of hits he can take, and a bunch of keywords and campaign data, and most of which will be usable in the campaign versions of this game, which will eventually be available as well. On the bottom of each card will be the character's power bar, which represents the most commonly used abilities, such as agility, the ability to hit a target or be hit by a target; melee, the amount of damage you do in melee combat; ranged, which is the amount of damage you do in ranged combat; and intellect, which allows you defenses against mental abilities. The right side of the card, of course, is an image of the character. If you see an ability that's in brackets, it means it's an ability provided by an object or a device and may be subject to special rules and abilities, such as a character who can shut off electronic devices, for example. If you see a stat with an asterisk on it, the asterisk represents the fact that it is some kind of ability that is powered by a device. And you'll see that on the abilities section. In basic UCS, or Universal Combat System, players simply pick which characters they wish to use and line them up on his side of the table. Players should agree ahead of time on the number of characters that are going to be played and the highest threat level that will be allowed. Reference the threat level chart later. Players will then select, either by choice or by random assignment, what kind of combat environment they're going to be fighting in. And we'll see a little bit more of this later. The combat environments can modify the conditions of the battle. Characters can only be taken once. You cannot duplicate a character on a side unless the character has the keyword minion, in which case you can take the character any number of times. There are campaign rules that will come out later that will allow you a more robust method of selecting characters. But for now, if you just want to fight it out, it's just a matter of selecting how many characters you can pick and what the highest power level you're going to allow in the game. Once you lay them out, the characters, and each player should lay out the characters in front of them in a line, players will activate characters in the highest initiative order. If there is a tie, the two characters will dice off to see who goes first. But within the same initiative level, say everybody's initiative 2, you have to alternate between players. So, one guy's 2 go first, then the next guy's 2. Once you activate a character, that character may now take an action, which usually means attacking a target. Sometimes it'll mean activating one of his special abilities, and you can decide on that, and you'll see what the choices are for that. Who can attack who? Well, it's simple. A melee attack, or any ability that has close under its restrictions, can attack a character that does not have flight. Any character that does not have flight. If you're wanting to attack a character that has flight, then you can only attack that character if that character attacked you in the prior round. If you have a ranged attack, you can attack pretty much anybody on the field. Same is true with mental powers, unless the power has the close range restriction. To hit a target, you need to roll 7 or better on 2d6. What you do is you compare the agility of the attacker, plus or minus any modifiers, and compare it to the target's agility. If you have a higher agility, that's a bonus to hit. If you have a lower agility, it subtracts from the hit. So for example, if I've got a character with agility 5, and I'm attacking a character with agility 4, I am +1, because I'm 1 superior, and so I hit on 6 or better on 2d6 instead. If you roll 12 on any attack, that is a critical hit. And a critical hit will score 1 extra dice of or 1 extra point of damage. If you do hit, what you do is you compare the damage rating of your attack, whether it be melee or ranged, compare it to the target's defenses. Now there are 3 basic types of defenses. That would be either armor, or force field, or dodge. They all have the same effect in the game. They're all listed differently only because there's some special abilities that may negate some of those defenses. But generally what they'll do is any of the defenses will subtract from the amount of damage done to a target. So for example, if you did 6 points of damage to a target and the target had armor 3, 3 points of damage go through and the other 3 are stopped. For each point of damage that goes through, you roll a d6. If you roll a 4 or better, that damage takes effect, and you reduce a target's hits by 1 for each damage that goes through. When all of a character's hits characteristics are checked off, that character is knocked out of the game. When all of a player's characters are knocked out or have fled the battlefield, the other side has won. Pretty simple. You can easily play it with multiple people because there's no, you can have 3 people playing simultaneously with different teams of people, and whoever's the last one standing is the winner. Pretty basic, pretty simple, and they're designed to be fairly generic and universal. There are, of course, special powers and special abilities that a lot of the characters will have. And we are going to, as we introduce new characters, we're going to introduce new powers to you as well. There are also going to be some optional rules, and here is optional rule number 1 that you can use if you so choose. Now, I do have a caveat that the game theoretically is balanced out by power level so that they all kind of have the same general ability. When you introduce this special rule for hero points, it could unbalance the game a little bit, but they are accurate, and characters who have a lot of combat experience may have a higher hero point rating than others, so it is somewhat realistic, but I caveat that to you, and that's why it's an optional rule, so if you want to use it or not, you can. If you do use hero points, you can expend 1 hero point to change any 1 dice to any number. So if you roll 2d6 and you get a 1 and a 6, you can spend a hero point and change the 1 to make it roll a 6, which means would be a critical hit. If you use your point, the attacker decides first if he's going to spend any points, and if he spends a point for 1 particular dice, the defender can also spend a point but cannot affect the same dice. Okay, so he could affect the other dice that you didn't roll, turning that from a 6 to a 1, but he cannot affect the one you've already affected. Okay, so now you have everything you need to know about how to play the basic game of Universal Combat System. Look for more printed rules to be available, like I said, on wargamevault.com. And look for different types of rules as well to be on that site. You're going to see man-to-man combat rules, you're going to see combat rules for large-scale units, spaceships, all kinds of stuff. But on our YouTube channel, what we will present to you are, at least for the next several months, if not for a very long time, are superheroes. And we're not going to try to inundate you all at once. You'll see several superheroes at one time, but maybe 5 at a time. At that rate, it'll take us maybe 3 years, something like that. Yeah, Jason, you've had a chance to play. What are some early comments for you about this game?
I really like the system. Like Julia said, it's generic enough where you can apply different things to it, and that gets me really excited. One of the genres I wanted to kind of mess with was maybe a zombie survivalist type thing, where someone was going to play as the zombies and the other one would have a team of survivors. And you'd be able to roll out different scenarios of combat with this. I like it, and of course the idea that you can match this system to different types of fighters or combat that you want to see happen really allows you to be creative, and I like that.
Cool. Very cool. Okay, so the next bit you're going to have here, or we're going to have for you, is the first batch of characters that we're going to introduce to you, and the special powers are going to be introduced. Oh, and the combat environment, the very first combat environment. So we'll have that next, and the first batch will be some characters from the Hulk line.
Smashing, good time.
Smashing. All right, talk to you again soon.
All right.